Hi everyone, thank you for taking some time to watch this video on test security for the AIR assessments. Just as a reminder, the AIR assessments cover the subjects of science and social studies. Prior to getting into talking about test security, I want to talk about a current situation of students not taking the test due to parent requests. As a school and as a school employee, we are mandated by the state to provide the opportunity for the student to take the test. If a parent, however, requests that a student does not take the test, we still will provide that opportunity. So what I would like for you to do is set up your classroom just as you normally would, either going into a computer lab to take these assessments or having all the students with Chromebooks in front of them. Provide all the students with their login information and follow through with the script. If you have a student who or students that do not sign in and they tell you that my mom or dad told me not to take the test, you thank them, be nice, and what I would like for you to do then is to write down their name on the form that is in the email called 2005 AIR Testing Irregulatory or Security Breach Form. So if you look at this form, it's a very simple form to fill out. Just put down in the description of the incident here, type in the student's name and mark either parent confirmed because you were told ahead of time by a district administrator or testing coordinator. If you were not told ahead of time by a testing coordinator or district administrator that the parent does not want them to take the test and the student indicated that the parent does not want them to take the test, please follow up with a phone call to the parent confirming the fact that they do not want them to take the test, and then put in the description of incident that it was confirmed. If it was not confirmed and the student should have taken the test, please contact your school building test coordinator so that the student can be placed in a makeup session. So that is the policy and the procedure in which we will deal with students who have been asked not to take the test. If there are any questions, please feel free to follow up with me, Todd Stewart, or with your school administrator or testing coordinator. On to test security. One of the most important responsibilities as a test coordinators, test administrators, monitors, teachers is maintaining test security. At all times, the district's and state's written procedures for protecting secure test information must be followed. It is illegal and unethical for anyone to reproduce or disclose any of the test content or cause the content to be reproduced or disclosed in any format. Test security is vital to the successful administration of all tests. All district and school personnel are responsible for ensuring the security of the individual test questions. The responsibility to maintain the security of the test questions continues even after the test concludes. Under Ohio law, releasing any test questions or other content of a test to students or helping students cheat in any other way may result in invalidation of the test scores, termination of employment, suspension of credentials to teach, and/or prosecution. Violations of test security provisions in the district's written procedures may be punishable by penalties specified by the district. All electronic devices, this includes cell phones, iPods, iPads, not being used for testing administration, must be collected from students prior to test administration. My suggestion is that you ask them to put them in their book bags or put them in their lockers, but do not have them there. District and school personnel must tell students that electronic devices are prohibited during the test administration and will result in the test being invalidated with no opportunity to retake the test. Having a prohibited electronic device during a test administration is a security violation and will result in the test being invalidated. Test administrators, teachers, monitors, and proctors must set their cell phones to silent or vibrate mode and refrain from using their cell phones during the test administration so as not to disturb the students. Any person administering a test must be an employee of this district and hold a license, certificate, or permit issued by the Ohio Department of Education. During every administration, a test administrator who meets these criteria must be in the room at all times. This person must actively monitor students to ensure test security. If the test administrator must leave the room in which the test is being administered, another test administrator who meets the criteria must be called into the room. The ratio for testing purposes is 1 test administrator to 30 students in a testing room. For any group of more than 30, a proctor or monitor must be in the room with the test administrator. The monitor is not required to meet the criteria for administering a test. A test administrator must be in each testing room, including rooms where small groups are administered. The tests are where they administered the test or where accommodations are provided. The following are security violations which will need to be acknowledged and written down in the security breach document that I showed you earlier. This is in regards to before or during a test administration. Reviewing a test booklet or a student's answer document to review test content or student responses. Using a student's login information to access an online test in order to review the test content. Reviewing the test and creating a study guide or in some way releasing the test questions to students. Describing the test questions in an email or discussing the test questions with anyone. Standing over a student who is taking the test and indicating in some manner that the student's answer is incorrect, blank, or deficient. Coaching a student in any manner to indicate the correct answer or any answer. Posting any portion of the test content and or a student response on social media before, during, or after test administration. Do not take any pictures. After administration of the test. Marking, tampering with, or contaminating a student's responses in any way unless by a scribe or test administrator with permission to transcribe the student's responses with no changes. Failing to collect and securely shred any scratch paper that was provided to and used by students during a test and that contains student writing. Failing to account for and return any secure paper test materials. Discussing test questions with colleagues or students after the test has been administered, which may affect students who are tested on a later date. Describing the test questions in an email or discussing the test questions with anyone. At any point, if personnel believe that a violation of test security has occurred, he or she should contact the building test coordinator about the alleged test security violation and document it appropriately. The building test coordinator should report the alleged security violation to the district test coordinator. That's me, Todd Stewart. The district coordinator then will contact the department to discuss the situation. In regards to ethical use of tests, pursuant to the requirements of the amended Substitute House Bill 152, State Board of Education has adopted standards for ethical use of tests. These standards guide those who are engaged at any stage of the testing process in performing their responsibilities with honesty, integrity, due care, and fairness to all. The standards are designed to govern tests and practices related to state graduation testing, standardized achievement testing, and any other grade level or age level testing conducted building-wide or district-wide. I want to reference you at this point to page 13 and 14 of testing manuals. In there are scenarios that are related to standards for ethical use of tests. An activity or behavior is shared, and then the standards are given a guide as to yes or no, is this an ethical practice? So for example, using the state-provided practice tests as the sole method of preparing students for tests without teaching and learning standards measured by the tests, that is not an ethical practice. Using the state-provided practice tests as an activity after students have received instruction on the learning standards and item formats is an ethical practice. So you can go through those different ethical practices on page 13, and they're continued on page 14 of the testing administration. At this time, that concludes the video on test security. I want to bring your attention to, in the email, a number of documents. Many of them, if you are only testing air, you can disregard. The only two that you need to have information about, the first one is air acknowledgement form, and the second one, which we already went over, is this security breach, form. So let me bring your attention to the acknowledgement form. Everybody who is participating in an air assessment needs to fill out this form and turn it into their building test coordinator after watching this video, as well as reviewing the manuals and scripts that have been provided. If you have any questions regarding the security acknowledgement form, please let me know as soon as you can. This needs to be completed prior to testing. At this time, that concludes our video, and I wish you the best of luck during your testing.